Hey, welcome back to HealthCare Consumerism Radio. This is Doug Fields, CEO of the Institute for HealthCare Consumerism, and we're pleased to have one of IHC's corporate members on the phone with us today. We've got Carol Kraft, the President and COO of SelectAccount, a leading HSA administrator. Carol, good morning to you.
Well, good morning, and thank you for having me today.
Yeah, nice to have you with us. Tell our audience a little bit about SelectAccount and what your unique position is in this space.
I'm having a little difficulty hearing you.
Yeah, we're having a hard time. You're kind of faint, too.
Might be a little bad live radio connection. Is that better?
That is much better.
Yeah. And as Doug had mentioned, tell us a little bit about SelectAccount and the role you all play in the market, and then we'll get into some more granular details.
Well, SelectAccount has been in business for over 20 years. And for a while, I think we were a pretty well-kept secret in Minnesota. You might have heard the term Minnesota nice. Well, we're also Minnesota modest.
Mm-hmm.
And so we started kind of bragging about ourselves and expanding our operation about 6 years ago. Mm-hmm. And today we have customers in every state of the country. So even though we're Minnesota-based, we serve every state in the country. And we offer a full range of spending accounts with an emphasis on HSAs. And one of the things that I think has been unique for us is that we own our own proprietary system, and therefore we can provide uniqueness to our customer experience because we really set our own priorities of what's important and what's important for them.
Now the HSA world out there is crazy right now. You got a lot of uptake in the HSA world. What are you kind of seeing from the market, currently as we go kind of through this healthcare reform debate and implementation? Where are you kind of seeing your solutions?
Well, we've seen a lot of difference, I would say, just in the experience level of our group purchasers that purchase from us from an employer company. And we've seen a lot of shift in their direction. Mm-hmm. And so, I think that if a group has a good strategy, their strategy might be moving from a traditional PPO plan to, then an HRA and then an HSA. Mm-hmm. So we're seeing a lot of movement in that direction where they're narrowing down the benefit options they're providing. I think another thing that's unique about SelectAccount is we've got a lot of health plan experience at our company, so we just don't have people that understand the regulations around an HSA. We've got a lot of health plan experience as well.
What are the most important things that an employer really needs to know about health spending accounts right now as an option for them to consider?
I think that there are a lot of things. I personally think it as a benefit to an employee. So if they're offering an HSA, of course, if they contribute to that account as part of their benefit offering, that makes it much more attractive. But, I myself use it as a future savings account, just like my 401k. Mm-hmm. And so obviously I have an HSA, but while I'm working, I always think, well, I can probably afford to pay for my prescription drugs out of my own pocket. And then if I can't, I can dip into my HSA. So I have a tendency to just try to build up that reserve level. So when I do need it, after I'm no longer working, I've got a good nest egg for myself.
Now, Carol, for all of us who talk about this in the business, it makes a lot of sense to us, and I think when it gets on the employer side, there is a communication effort across to their employee population that has to take place, correct, about the true value of what an HSA can provide, and when it's implemented correctly, the value it really provides to the employee population, right?
That's exactly right. And those companies that do a good job on that, they will get the result that they want. And so I call that, even in our sales area, we don't want to sell a product. We want to sell a strategy. Mm-hmm. So we want to know what the employer's strategy is, for the next 3-4 years, and then help them reach, whatever strategy that is. education is really key. And we know that all employers don't do that or have the resource to do that. So we will do that for them. And, I would say, one of the things that SelectAccount offers is we've got a call center that I think that is, second to none in the marketplace. And we actually don't even call it a call center. We call it an education center. Because when an employee first goes in to a high-deductible health plan, whether they've read the brochures they've received or listened in a meeting, until they actually start using it, they don't necessarily understand all the aspects. And so, our staff will talk to them for as long as they want to talk on the telephone to get them comfortable with, using whatever spending account that their employer is offering.
Very interesting. Do you ever take on behalf of your employers a proactive approach and actually call the various employees and their families?
We do actually, especially now. Kind of moving into different spending account types. I always call it, taking the customer out of the middle.
Yep.
So if we have to even call a provider on their behalf, we will do that. If we, to get documentation or whatever it is we need, we will do that, obviously, with their permission. But, we will, if we have somebody that we know is having some difficulty, we have a concept that we call customer effort. And so it's not just about answering the telephone and answering the question that the person is asking. I always say, did you answer the question that they didn't ask? And so that you're constantly educating them. You're not just saying yes or no, or that's right or that's wrong. You're going much deeper into that. And then we do a lot of follow-up. And so we follow up by email, we follow up by a voicemail, or whatever way the customer wants to communicate.
Excellent.
Now, Carol, on one question, and you alluded to it at the beginning of the segment here, is the health plans out there, and wanted to kind of get into a little bit of the channels that you guys, obviously the employer is a channel for you. Can you talk a little bit to the value of your solution for a health plan or a broker consultant out there who's looking at innovative solutions?
Well, I think, from a health plan perspective, like I said, we understand just health plans. So, I think unlike a bank that, doesn't really have that DNA, we have a deep DNA there. We started in Minnesota. We work with the number one health provider, our health plan in Minnesota. And so we just have, I think, a unique understanding about that. From a broker perspective, and, we classify our customers as, individual members, group leaders, agents, brokers, consultants. They're all customers in one sense or another. And so, for the agents, we specifically have tools that they can use from us, and they can brand it themselves if they want to. We also have in our service center, we have a special telephone line for agents and brokers. And they can call, and they get people that are used to talking to agents and brokers to help them. So whether it's a question or whatever they have, whatever they need, they can call that line and get customized service to their business.
You seem to be, Carol, very well positioned to take advantage of the emerging private exchange market. How do you look at that marketplace?
Well, I think the exchange market, when we went to the IHC conference, that's one of the reasons why I sent several people to that, because, that's an evolving daily thing for all of us to just keep up on. And, our individual block of business today is our largest block of business, and I'm certainly expecting that that's going to continue to grow. And so, we classify everybody in some kind of a group, and we classify all those individuals in one group. So I'm certainly expecting that to grow. We're preparing ourselves right now for in educating just all of us for those telephone calls that are going to start to come in October.
Yep.
And I'm anticipating that somebody that currently has an HSA today with a group, and the group decides to go out on the exchange or put their employees out on the exchange, they're going to be calling us and they're going to be saying, well, I have an HSA today. Now what do I do?
Yeah.
So I think that, there's a lot of people that still don't understand that the Affordable Health Care Act was passed.
That's exactly right.
So I think, we're preparing ourselves just for, any possible question that we might receive from an individual calling.
It's interesting, Carol, what your latest point. I mean, I don't think that's just the consumers. I think there's still a large number of employers that know the law passed but don't know the impact of the law yet. I mean, Don Doster and at G Behavior and I were talking about that at the forum, and Don says he will have people sitting in his office and he'll look at them and say, "Are you ready for PPAC?" And they'll go, "What?" He said, "You guys realize this is real and it's coming and it's here." So
right.
Now, Carol, as it relates to the healthcare law, where do you see HSAs within that? Are they increased in popularity? Is they stay neutral? Is there a decrease? From what I hear you say, it looks like there's going to be a nice increase, right?
Well, my prediction will be that they increase.
Yeah,
because,
I think,
people that are going out to the exchange, a high-deductible health plan will be an option. Mm-hmm. I think the trick will be, getting them the education that they need in order to make that choice, or in order to even understand that they have that choice of getting an HSA along with a high-deductible health plan.
Carol, how do you feel? I talk to a lot of employers and others, and I see something else emerging too. Is that the world? There's going to be a big world out, operate outside of exchanges, and I see a large number of employers seeing this fall as a unique opportunity to introduce a full replacement, HSA high deductible plan to their employees, with the message of, hey, we're not going to dump you in the exchange. Here's what we're going to do for you. So I don't know. Do you see the same thing kind of emerging?
I would agree with that too. I think employers, even some of our really large groups, we have a really large group that is made up of smaller groups inside of it, and they fully say, we think that in the future it might be beneficial for some of them to go into the exchange. But, right now we're trying to educate them so, number one, they can make an informed decision. And, there's nothing wrong with waiting for a little while to see, so that maybe you're not the first person to jump in. But so I see that attitude. And then I do see a lot of people that are looking, you have to look at the benefits that you provide for your employees, and if this becomes part of your benefit package, then to me that's an attraction for you to get, top talent within your company.
Yep. Okay, we got about 30 seconds left, and want to give you the opportunity. What's one or couple takeaways that you'd like our audience to understand about SelectAccount?
Well, I think that SelectAccount has, very unique service to our customers. So I would want people to understand that, that's what we're all about. Is we're all about, helping the customer, and we're not, like I said, measuring our talk time. We're about helping the customer. And the other thing I think that we're doing is we're trying to help the customer in every single generation. So no matter how you want to work, whether it's texting or talking or emailing, that's where our capabilities are at.
Well, we want to thank you so much for joining us today, Carol, and for our audience out there. SelectAccount is a corporate member of the IHCC. And Carol, have a great weekend in Minnesota.
Thank you.
And to our audience, everyone, stay tuned for the next segment of HealthCare Consumerism Radio.